What is this?
All the state change order reviews completed. The last requisitions are in, pretty much all invoices besides Arcadis invoices are complete. And we can start reconciling finances with the town.
Sounds good. That's for both schools then?
Yes.
I just have one question.
Sure.
And I'll actually ask you, with all the change orders that were happening when we weren't having meetings and everything else, have you been at least informed of the process going along?
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, I touch base with Kelly occasionally and say, give me a summary, and she does.
I just wanted to make sure at least the committee was informed.
That's why I asked her.
All the change orders that have happened since our last meeting really are just like, you know, release of lien waivers, release of unused allowances and contingency dollars. There's no work happening, so there's really no additional, yeah. Just close out financial items that are going on.
Okay.
So it's basically paperwork, yeah. But that's a great question. So we know that we're in good shape there. Anything else? Any other questions? No?
No.
Sam, what have you got for us?
Kelly said it all. I think the only thing we have is new business stuff, but I haven't seen the agenda, but I'm pretty sure that that's where the acceptance of the projects is under new business.
Just wanted to check in on the glycol issue.
Yeah, we still have the glycol issue going on a bit. We have an engineer coming down to take a look at it. You know, we're working with within the warranty period, so we're good there. We're working on it.
Okay, keep me abreast of how that's going, would you?
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, staff and program managing.
The only thing I have to report is that last month, Arcadis, we did reach back out to OSCG&R regarding the reimbursement rate for Westside, to have them revisit that so that we can increase from the 47.5 to the 57.5, or even though we built as new, it looks like under the law, we should have gotten a higher rate. We've also got our state representatives involved in this, so they're reaching out to the state offices as appropriately to kind of investigate as well. So hopefully we'll have a positive outcome of this.
There was a bit of a background. I got told about this about 2 months ago, and actually Roger said, you know, can we get the state legislatures involved? And actually the town manager was already 2 steps ahead of me on that one. We've already done that. So we're trying to kick every nod that we can find.
It's about
money under it.
$4 million.
Yeah. It's worth trying.
It's worth trying for sure.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Wonderful. Under unfinished business. Don't believe we have any unfinished business. Under new business, we have 2 items. As you may or may not know, the Board of Ed has voted to accept both schools as being substantially complete, which means that it now comes to us to decide that we have finished basically building the school and we're happy with everything that's gone on so far, and we're willing to send it to the state for audit. So each one of these has to be done individually.
I will move acceptance of Cutler Elementary School project, state project number 059-0188.
Evan moved it. I get a second.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on this?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So if it goes to the state for audit, what then happens? I mean, you probably told me this with the Groton Middle School and I probably forgot, but when it goes to audit, what then is the process? I could have asked prior.
So it may be one of 2 things, just as a general answer. Either the state will go ahead and audit the whole process. And that means they come down and check the books and all, or we send them all of the stuff that they ask for in terms of, you know, what did we build? How did we build it? what's the budget, what's the, all of the monetary aspects, and did we build it to the specifications and all that type of thing. The other deal, and we've done this before when the state was too busy, we've actually had an outside entity do the audit and send it to the state for acceptance. And that may end up, we don't know yet which direction that's going to take. But usually as a general operation, it takes about a year to complete the audit.
Okay.
So it's not something that's quick, given that it's state agencies that are playing with it. Given the condition of the state agency at the moment, it may take a little longer.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm very hopeful that we managed to get a higher reimbursement rate as a function of having pushed all those buttons. And you know, we've been very good about crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and making sure that everything is going along the way it should be going along. So I don't anticipate any issues with, you know, and if they occur, it'll be a surprise to me.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, don't anticipate, once we send these, don't anticipate to hear much back for, you know, I would say if we hear within the year, that would be a good thing.
Okay.
Just as a guess.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Just a little clarification before we move to the other one. We're calling this the Cutler Elementary School project. That's the wording, because Cutler isn't an elementary,
It's not
and
Cutler.
now it's not, it's Mystic. So I mean,
But that was the project name.
Mhm.
That's
The state,
project
yep.
name.
okay.
Yep.
I just,
No, yeah, and you did it exactly the way I was going to ask you to do it.
You got the right number.
Yep. So having had any other questions, Christie?
No.
Nope. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That one passes unanimously.
all right, I'll move the acceptance of the West Side Elementary School project, state project number 059-0189.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there a second? Oh, second. Dave. Wait a second. Any questions on this one? Anticipate that the audit will take about the same length of time.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Thank you very much, everybody.
Great.
Now, Sam, you had something? Or was this it?
That would have been it if you had any questions about it. But as I told the board when they accepted it, that we are in the warranty period. There are some warranty issues that we're dealing with, but nothing major. So everything's going pretty smoothly.
Good to hear. Much better than my project, apparently. All right, I have one thing that I would like to bring up before we adjourn. And that is, given that this is the end of the 2020 schools project operation, I've been on this since we started the original elementary schools
Wow.
Castle Blues?
and Castle Booze and the Blue Ribbon Committee. And one of the things that I realized, having looked back at all of this, is when we started this, there hadn't been any schools built in the city, in the town, for close to 40 years, I think.
55, 56 around there.
Something, well, there was the addition to Eastern Point in the 60s, and
Yeah, and West Side had the
West Side
addition,
had the
but on
addition later on. But
90s.
build new was not something that had happened. And so when we first did this, it was from a tabula rasa. There was nothing there. And what I would like to do, or whoever comes behind us after this, is to leave them something to work with. And in that sense, what I mean is, I would like us to put together perhaps a questionnaire or a survey, asking administrators, asking the janitors, the service people, the students, the teachers, now that they've been in the schools for a year, what works? What do they think doesn't work? What would we have done differently? Because remember, this was a very unique time with COVID. We're at a period now where at the beginning of this particular bunch of schools starting to build, I jokingly said to Sam, I don't understand why we're doing this. Everybody's going to be online in 5 years. And it kind of turned out to be true. So I'm kind of intrigued as to looking forward, what the landscape is going to look like in the future and what we can leave to a board that comes behind us in terms of lessons learned and things to be avoided and things to actually embrace, things that make life easy, things that make life hard, type of thing. So if everybody would think about that a little bit.
Yeah, you have to be really mindful of the questions you ask in a
Well,
survey.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure, because you know, everyone has their own little niche, right? Of saying, well, I really wished the toilet in this bathroom was 1 inch tall. For real, like, and so I think those global questions, but we want to really mindfully think, like, what is it that we want to get out of the survey? Because people will completely vent about their
Oh,
own
sure.
scene.
And I mean, I can give you
Yeah.
a great example. When we first started doing this, Sam will laugh with this one. We have some elementary schools that have L-shaped classrooms
Mhm.
because we were told those were going to be the thing to do, you know?
Yeah,
And it may be that those would have worked much better if they bothered to train the teachers how to utilize the space effectively. As it was, they didn't learn how to use it, and they used it the way they wanted to, which was fine,
right.
but it wasn't the way the buildings were designed to be used. And so that's a learning that, you know, okay, just because somebody thinks a particular thing is going to work doesn't necessarily fly.
Yeah,
And so this is not a case of trying to say things that we did wrong, but things that folks in the future should be aware of to try and avoid, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
I think just the process too that we went through as far as like, because you did, we had meetings.
Yeah.
I was on both sides, so it was like, I can't remember, was I supposed to be there or not? But there were meetings that you had with teachers, with admin, with staff that had their input. Remember, do you remember that, Christy?
I do.
And we were able, I think that piece, like maybe just writing our process down. The one thing too that I end up doing, not as much anymore, I was a lot last year, and the year prior, but it was answering questions as to why wouldn't they have put, I don't know, pick something in, and I have to explain it, being on the side of the committee, which was
Right.
helpful, right?
Yeah.
To say, well, here's why that didn't move forward. We actually had it in the plans, but due to whatever,
Whatever.
X, Y, and Z, this is why. So I don't know if maybe having that, or like the out in front to say, here are things that got chopped and why, or
And
here's why it was planned in this fashion, something like that.
Yeah.
That might be helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
There's still questions that, you know, you hear from time to time. I'm sure Sam hears them, and Jamie, but you know, why was there no auditorium in the middle school and things like that? And
Yes.
not understanding the fact that it was a guideline from the state. It wasn't something that we didn't want or chose not to have, you know, things like that, that
Yeah.
I think people don't necessarily understand the process. Maybe being a different way of being transparent, Jamie, or explaining that in a different way, maybe helpful. But once you explain it, then they go, oh, okay, like,
Right.
okay, that makes sense. But you're talking to one person and there's probably 6 or 7 other people that may.
Yeah.
be
Same
having that
question.
Yeah.
Well, I
The
agree.
thing that I was looking for, and I'm still going to push the administration to do, is I would really like to see us have an official, like, opening of each of the 3 schools to the
Yeah.
public.
Oh.
You know, sort of a ribbon cutting kind of thing, which we never got to do because of COVID.
Yeah, it was tough.
Let the voters and the taxpayers come in and see what they got.
Mhm.
And
Right.
we can answer questions about why isn't there an auditorium,
Right,
uh,
right.
that type of thing.
Mhm.
But that, you know,
Yeah. I think summer might be so
Yeah,
sorry.
I-
Go,
yeah,
go. You've been
I
trying.
would say that's not really, I totally believe, and I spoke to you about it, about lessons learned and getting together the past. Some of the other things brought up, actually, we're the last people involved, because you have the wish list from the board, whatever superintendent is here agreeing to what's there, and then when everybody's meeting, at these so-called meetings, it's, well, we only have so much space and how much the state allows us to do. So, I mean,
Right.
the Permanent School Building Committee, and a lot of this is just the last answer, because it's all the
Mhm.
education specs and the
Mhm.
DSS spec comes in before us, and we're
Right.
the ones that people want the answers from, but in the meantime, it's 75% somewhere else.
I think just explaining that process though, because
Yeah,
then that's the
absolutely.
clarity, right? Like, why are there not this many parking spots? And, you know,
Right.
so that is another one that we got a lot to, and I have to explain it to them, but I think just being transparent with the process, and then you could say, oh, no, we did explain that, here it is, and have that,
Right.
but, and obviously we'll continue to answer the questions, but that could be something.
Yeah. Or even just us reflecting on some of it too. Like I know that Jamie, the buildings were designed and they were beautiful, but then we also, after getting in them and starting to kind of live in them and everything, realized that, you know what, some of the spaces, while they were beautiful the way they were designed, but they really need a little more security. So, you know, like Jamie talking about her offices kind of being a fishbowl and then having to put some kind of a film over them, just little things like that. I think that we could leave for someone else that when they go to design,
Yeah.
kind of having those things in mind, or
Never going
the
to build a
locks that we
perfect building.
tried that did not work, and making sure that those are kind of something that we, you know, I mean, we had some growing pains, which is fine. That's what we do. And we still came in well under budget, which I think was what our goal was. But, you know, little things like that, Jamie, maybe even just
Yeah.
kind of putting notes for ourselves too. Like these are some of the things that we as a district at some point had to go back when we were thinking about security or things like that, that maybe were great in theory, but then all of a sudden you kind of go into practice and maybe you need to adjust a little bit, but.
Yeah, it's interesting,
Yeah.
and those are huge. And then there's like tiny things that I go, gosh, I didn't even think to measure a doorway. You know
No,
what I mean? Because we can't fit certain equipment in, our tables from the cafeteria can't get out of the cafeteria door because who knew the doorway was just silly
and they were
things like
built in the
that.
build in the room.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like a dishwasher that only holds 6 trays in a school of 500. Like,
Well, right. And it's not that
And look
anybody
at
did
that.
something wrong or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's just kind of like rethinking, going, wow, this might be something that we want to leave for notes for someone.
Yeah.
This is lessons learned.
like huge
Yeah,
little tiny
exactly.
details can be
Yeah, no,
a
and
function of a school that you're like, I don't know how to get that table out.
and this is very useful, I think. And it's something that we probably would, we could capture
Yeah.
really effectively and at least pass on to, whoever comes after us.
Yep.
Because they're probably not going to build another school new for at least 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Bite your tongue. Bite your
No,
tongue.
I know. It's like, wait a
We have
minute,
one
Charles
left.
Barnum.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
All that federal money.
You let me know how much you got in the town cost where we can spend that.
Anyway, that's a separate issue.
I'll hold on to my little antique space. It's fine.
But
if
it is a
nothing, if
nice.
nothing else, that way, somebody in the future will go, oh, thank you guys.
Yeah, this is our
We
process.
spent a lot of time on this, and
Mhm.
there's actually
lot
a
of
lot
thought
of
into it.
learnings that we have.
Yep.
That
Yep.
would be, there's no point in making the ballpoint pen again.
It gives them a starting point and then they can run with it in any way they
Sure.
want. So I think it
Yeah.
would be a great thing. It'd be appreciative. I appreciate
I
it.
agree.
would think.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Well,
Jamie, you,
I got a question for Sam.
Yep.
Sam, you got any other updates on the various school projects going on, like solar panels, lights on the field, roof at Charles Barnum, and the HVAC grant offered by the state?
You're muted, Sam.
He likes it that way.
Potentially so that you wouldn't hear what I had to say. I'll start with the HVAC grant because we submitted that, and because the state received so many requests, they actually extended the reply time frame from sometime in January to the end of February, but I think we're at the end of February and we still haven't heard. So that still sits at the state somewhere. And I was told about 2 weeks ago that they stopped all of the grant applications and held them in abeyance until they finish this HVAC grant stuff. So that's what I was told on that. Solar panels, we have got, we're still working with the Green Bank and they are submitting some paperwork now to order panels, but those panels probably will not be in till fall. They were talking maybe August, but they're talking probably more like the fall. So that particular installation, for instance, at the middle school, will be a ballast system. So there won't be a lot of, it won't be a lot of racket on the roof. They could actually do it during school time. They could actually work on those roofs because there wouldn't be that much drilling through the roof other than the couple of penetrations they might have to make to run some wires. But even that, there's already conduit for most of that. So the other solar panels, and what was the third item?
What about the roof at Charles Barnum?
Oh, Charles Barnum roof. Yeah. So the Charles Barnum roof that is over Christie's head.
Yep.
So we were ready to go out to bid this spring. We were getting ready to go out to bid this spring, and the state has changed the process for submitting those for grants. And now we actually have to, before you used to be able to select an architect, but now we have to actually go out to bid. So we have an RFP, RFQ that we're writing up for architectural services to proceed with the roof. So it's it definitely won't be done this summer now. But again, roofs have been done during school too. So we'll take a look at that and see whether that's possible or whether we might have to wait until the following summer or spring break or something.
Okay. The last thing was the lights on the fields.
Yeah, the
That would be
lights.
at the middle school.
Yep. We're working with Musco, and Musco, actually, I think we just sent a message over to Kent and Frost, who are doing the plans for Musco, which is the company that's going to do lighting. So they're working with them directly to get those plans taken care of so that we can submit those to the town. It was felt that if we, the school will actually be the applicant for that rather than Musco. Some people thought that we would have some benefit to submitting it as the owners, as opposed to the contractors submitting it. I don't think it makes much difference, but either way, that's the way we're doing that. So that's getting put together right now. And again, they were talking, the last time we talked about how long it would take to get the materials for that, they were talking 16 weeks. So again, we're talking the end of the summer, so they probably would not be ready for this fall, but the work could be done in the fall.
Thank you.
We talked going back a while, knocking the buildings down and hauling them out. We got our own person with the state interfering, and they wanted us to pick from theirs. How did that end up finishing out? Do we lose any money on that?
No, we used the folks that bid on the project, ONG put those out to bid. We got 7 or 8 bidders on that. We went with the low bid. And after we got those bids, that's when the state stepped in and said, no, you got to use these pre-qualified people on a time and materials basis. And our team got together and said, no way in hell we're doing this.
Right. So we
pushed back, and then OSCGR said, okay, you guys can go ahead with your thing. But in the meantime, there's been some federal grand juries, and we've actually gotten our records subpoenaed and everything else by the FBI and stuff. So there's a whole another thing going on there.
Which I only asked more, so I thought that was it.
Yeah,
only because that's what's in the paper these days.
Yeah, no, so we came out looking pretty good, unlike London, who's
going through hell.
Going through hell, because
The cost of stuff we'll see about it.
yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, that's just gonna be fun for them to figure out.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else?
That was it.
And I shan't keep you. Thank you all for your time.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
It was nice to see you all.
It's good to see you guys.
Mhm.
Bye,
Thanks,
Kelly. Good
all.
luck in the move.
Bye,
Bye,
Kelly. Good luck.
thank you.
No.
Thanks.
All right, well, have fun. It was good to see you guys. When's our next meeting?
Hey,